Again, hi everyone. My name is Ali Jamal. I'm one of your co-presidents for CARRM this year.
And my name's Cam. I'm the other co-president for this year, and I'm the one that's going to be doing the majority of the presentation. And I just wanted to give you guys a chance to meet the team. If you guys can just introduce yourself, CARM team. Anyone? Go.
Okay, so I'll go first. My name is Ujala, and I'm the junior events coordinator for this year. This is my first year with CARM, and I've already learned a lot of different things, and I'm very excited for our year this year, and hopefully September in person as well, so we can organize a lot of other events for you guys.
All right. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Inez. I'm Senior Marketing Director for CARM, and we're really excited that you guys can all be here with us.
All right. Okay. So let's start. So to start off, I'm just going to be talking about what Anki is. So it's pretty much a flashcard system or an app that has a couple of features that distinguish it from other flashcard apps, such as like Quizlet. And so a lot of people I already know use Quizlet, but the question is why Anki and not like Quizlet, or why not the traditional just handwriting and like taking notes and reading your notes. So I first wanted to introduce the Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve. It essentially graphs how human memory works. So let's say today you learned a new topic about physiology. So on the first day, you're going to have about 90 to 100% knowledge retention of that topic. But as the days go by, you're going to exponentially see a decrease. And this is where Anki comes in. So by pretty much giving you review sessions at the correct intervals, you're pretty much disturbing the curve. You're reducing the amount of drop-off you experience in knowledge. And as you can see, over time, the slope of the curve actually decreases, and it becomes more horizontal. So you're going to increase your attention for longer periods of time. And this is due to the space repetition that Anki has, which is also supported by some studies that I've linked here. So for example, this study by Tabibi and Ayal, and this one by Kang, they all show that space repetition, which is what Anki uses, is very effective and is actually more effective than all other study methods. The other things that Anki has is a scheduling system. So it schedules when you should study and what you should study. So let's say you took notes on your lecture. Instead of rereading everything, Anki tests you only on the things that you need more practice with and less on the things that you're already good with. So essentially this means less studying time. So you have time to maybe do some research, maybe work on your other courses, maybe doing something for fun, exercising, stuff like that. And most importantly, it's free. And the most important of all is that it increases your attention rate. So the settings that Anki follows allows you to experience about 90 to 95% retention over years of time. So let's say you were studying for MCAT a year from now on, and if you use Anki, you're going to remember 90 to 95% of the information that you learned a year ago just by using the scheduling system that it provides you. So first thing I'm going to do is just do a run through of basics. I'm going to first cover basic cards, which are essentially like the traditional physical cards that we're all familiar with, where like on the front of the card, you write the term or the question. On the back, you write the answer. So this would be like the front of the card, and on the back, and once you press show answer, that will be the back. And then I'm going to be talking about the scheduler. So to start off, if you want to download Anki, you just go on Google, you search Anki, the first link that pops up. You want to press this, and you want to choose the correct operating system. So if you're on Mac, that would be Mac OS, and PC Windows. And then you're going to download an app that looks like this. You're going to click on it, of course. And sorry if it's taking a bit, but I just wanted to show you how like the experience looks like. Don't worry about these. These are just like different profiles that you can create. I'm going to be clicking on the Anki session one for today's event. So this is the Anki screen, and this is where your decks are. Decks are essentially like a binder of cards you have where you test yourself on. So let's create a deck by pressing this button right here, and let's call it Anki session. So this would be like the name for the course that you're choosing. So for example, if you're taking biochemistry, you would name it biochemistry. So I just created a deck called Anki session. Now to create cards, you want to press, oops, sorry. I don't know what this is popping up here. You want to press add right here. To create basic cards, you want to go on type, which is on the top left corner, and you want to just write basic. Don't worry about the reversed or optional reverse, just click on the basic and press choose. So you're going to be greeted with two boxes. One of them says front and back. The front is obviously where you put your question or a term that you want to test yourself on. So can someone from the event just give me a question they want to, or a topic they want to get tested on, please? Can anyone hear me? Hello?
Cam, I think you should check the chat.
Check the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Apologize. Okay. So what does CARRM stand for? So let's test ourselves on that. So you want to essentially just write what does CARRM stand for? And then you want to write the answer in the back section. So that would be Canadian Regenerative Medicine. So now to create this card, you just want to press add, and then there's going to be an added here. So this means you create the card for the Anki session deck. Oh, this says, oh, sorry. I just forgot to do this. Sorry, let's just do this one more time. Oh, I forgot. So I forgot to mention that before you add the card, you want to make sure on the deck section, which is top right, you choose the deck you want to add the card to. So one more time, what does CARRM stand for? And then the answer is Canadian Association for Research and Medicine. And then you press add. So now if you go back by pressing this, you go to your main section. As you can see on the deck, I have one new card. So that's the card I just created. If you want to study this card, you press Anki session, study now. So this is the card that I just created. And what was the answer to this? If anyone can either put it in the chat or just say it out loud, please. Oh, you want to go ahead and answer it? Okay, great.
Yeah, so it stands for the Canadian Association for Research and Regen Medicine.
Okay, great. So to see if you answered this correctly, you would press show answer, or alternatively, you can press the space bar on your keyboard. So yes, we got the answer right. So now what you can do is, I want to talk about the scheduler. So if you look down on the screen, there is again, good and easy. So essentially what this is the scheduler system. So if I got this question wrong, I would press again and it would ask me it in a minute or less. If I found it to be good, like my answer was correct, I press good and it would ask me this question again in 10 minutes or less. And if I thought it was easy, in 4 days. But I would definitely not press easy because you don't really want to skip content for 4 days. So let's just go ahead and press good. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint. So that was basic cards. Anyone have any questions so far? I know it's a bit confusing at first. If anyone can just put it in the chat. Okay, so no questions. So let's move on. So now I'm going to be talking about close cards. So this is my personal favorite. It's pretty much like fill in the blank cards, as you can see in the GIF here. So that's like a highlight the word. And when you go like that, you're turning it into fill in the blank cards. And they're the most versatile because you can actually turn them into basic cards. So question answer format. And now I'm going to be doing a demo again. So to go to decks, again, press deck. To add a card, press add. Make sure the deck is correctly chosen. And then you want to go here, which is top left, and change it to close. And then press choose. So anyone want to give me a phrase or a question that they want to get tested on for close cards, please? Yes, these slides will be posted probably in our social media. So anyone want to ask me a question to put on the Anki? Ali?
Yeah, we can ask, for example, Kamyar is the co-president of CARRM.
Okay, great question. So Kamyar is the co-president. Okay, so let's say you took notes in class and they were they were just like simple phrases and you wanted to test yourself on key terms. So let's say I wanted to know who the co-president of CARRM is based on my notes, and I wanted to test myself on the name. So I would just highlight it, and from there you have two ways of turning this into a fill in the blank. You can either go here beside this colored button, and it's like two brackets with three dots. So as you can see, it says close deletion. And if you press that, you turn this into a fill in the blank. As you can see, it's C1. And so this means close one or fill in the blank one. You can alternatively use your keyboard by using on Mac, it's Command Shift C, and it's similar on Windows as well. And so let's go ahead and add this card to our Anki session deck. So if we go back, as you can see, I added a new card. Study now. So the highlighted term, which was my name, is now fill in the blank. So you're testing yourself on the name. So what was the answer to this, Ali?
Kamyar.
Kamyar. So again, press spacebar, and Kamyar is a co-president of CARRM. So if you got it correct, you press good. Okay. Let's move on. So now adding pictures. This, in my opinion, is one of the most important parts of Anki. You can add pictures very easily. And now I'm going to be showing us how to do it. So for instance, let's say we wanted to test ourselves on the cell membrane for our new test. So let's say we wanted to create a close card that says the cell membrane is composed of a phospholipid bilayer. So that's good. Yes, it's good. But let's say you wanted to learn a bit about how it actually looks like and create an association between the words and the pictures. So you can go on Google Images and write phospholipid bilayer, and then add pictures really easily by copy pasting or dragging the pictures into this box, which is back extra. So let's say I like this picture right here. I can just copy image and paste it here. Oh, sorry. And now I have this picture. So if I press add and go back to my decks, you see I've created a new picture, new card. Oh, wait, sorry. I think I did something. Oh, I forgot to add a close card. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm just going to fix it. Okay. So let's say we wanted to see how this card looks like. So what was the answer to this? If anyone can just shout it out.
Phospholipid bilayer.
Okay. So now you get an immediate feedback in terms of the answer if you got it right, and you get a picture. So you can form associations really easily this way, and I think it's really valuable to add pictures. Moving on, now we're going to talk about add-ons. So this is another essential feature of Anki. A lot of developers can create different programs that you can incorporate into Anki to just make the experience better. I'm going to be talking about 3 of them, which is image occlusion, heat map, and God mode. I know the name is a bit out there, but it's what it's actually called. So to add add-ons, you want to go into Anki. I'm just going to minimize the Google. You want to go into Anki. You want to go all the way up to tools. So this is the Apple symbol. You want to go to tools, add-ons. And then you are greeted with this box. Don't worry about the add-ons I have, but to get add-ons, you want to press get add-ons, and then it's going to ask you for a code. So the way you get codes for different add-ons is just by going to Google. Let's say I want to add image occlusion, the one that I'm going to talk about right now. You're going to be greeted with a website called Anki Web. It's a trusted site. It belongs to Anki actually. So you just press that. And then you scroll all the way down until you see a blue box with a set of numbers. You just copy paste this into this box here and you press OK. And it's going to automatically add the add-on for you. So how does image occlusion now work? Image occlusion is really, really good for studying anatomy and the sciences and also remembering formulas. So this is how it looks like for a preview. You're pretty much hiding certain portions of pictures and testing yourself on them. So let's say I wanted to study anatomy. So I already went ahead and let's say I just learned about quadriceps, which is the muscles of the quads or the legs. And I have a lab test coming up where it's going to be asking me about the names of the different muscles, right? So all you do is you do copy image, you go to Anki, you want to go type of cards. If you downloaded the add-on successfully, you're going to be having a new card type called image occlusion enhanced. Choose that. Don't worry about these different boxes. Just focus on the one that says image. Paste the image that you just found from Google. Then you want to right click on the image and it's going to say occlude image. Press that. It's going to be loading for a bit. And once it's loaded, you want to basically just select this box here. It's going to be pre-selected for you. So I wouldn't really mess around with anything else. It's not necessary. And let's say you want to test yourself on the name of this muscle based on the location. You can just draw a box here. Maybe you can draw a box here and draw a box here and here. Okay. So from there, you have 2 options. At this bottom right, you can either press hide all guess one, which is pretty much it's going to hide all these boxes and just select one of them randomly. And you have to guess what say what the answer is. Or you can do hide one, guess one, which is pretty much it's going to show you all the other answers except one of the boxes, and then you have to answer it. I personally think hide one, guess one is the best, but you just have to play around with it. So let's say hide one, guess one. It creates 4 cards because we had 4 boxes. So let's go ahead and see how this looks like in our actual deck. As you can see, I just added a couple of cards. Study now. Don't worry about this because we covered it. Okay. So hide one, guess one. So what was the name of this muscle, if you guys remember? You can just put it in the chat or just say it out loud. Anyone? Ali, do you want to answer it?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I think it was quadriceps, or no, sorry, rectus femoris. So I got it right. So I pressed good. So this way you can, for instance, let's say you have an anatomy lab, and if you, I believe you still work on cat cadavers. You can take pictures from cats from online, and you can cat cadavers, and you can just make close deletions like this. And when it comes test time, it's going to be a breeze for you. So let's go on for the next add-on, which is heat map. So heat map looks like this. It's essentially like a visual representation of your progress. So the dark boxes indicate that you did all your cards or all the reviews that were due for. And it kind of acts as a form of motivation. So I'm going to be showing you my personal heat map. And then I'm going to show you how it works a bit. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is not my main folder, but so the way it works is that each one of these boxes is a day. So for example, today, which is January 15th, I studied some cards, so it's going to be showing it as green. And it shows things like days learned, longest streak, and current streak. And it's just a form of motivation, you know, it keeps you accountable, and it's really useful in my opinion. So moving on, God mode. So this one is my favorite personally. It's mostly for closed deletion cards, and it just increases the speed at which you make closed deletion cards. So the way it works is you want to press a close card. So if you remember, I said you can use Command Shift C as the keyboard shortcut for making closed deletion cards. Let's say, what is, Ali, give me a question, or anyone in the chat if they would like to. Ionization. Okay, ionization. I see your question. Great. Okay. Oh, sorry. I guess copy paste doesn't work in chat. Ionization. Okay. So thank you, Hannah. I'm going to be doing your question, ionization energy. Electron of an atom. Sorry if it's not the exact same question, but it's the same definition. So let's say we wanted to test ourselves on this. We just learned this from Chem 1000, and we wanted to get a better grasp of what the definition means. So you can, again, use Command Shift C to create fill in the blanks, or what God mode allows you to do is it provides two different keyboard mappings. So for Mac, Command E becomes the key shortcut to make a close card. And if you press Command E again, it makes it into C2. So essentially what happened is that we have one fill in the blank here and one fill in the blank here. So the first time you see the card, this is going to be blocked out, but this won't be. And the second time you see the card, this won't be blocked out, but this will be. The other thing it allows you to do is if you press Command S, it turns it into C1. So these two are going to be blocked out at the same time. I'm going to show you actually how it looks like. So ionization energy is the minimum amount of energy to require to remove an electron of an atom. So let's see how this looks like. Okay, don't worry about these. Okay, so C1, which was close one, is now the first fill in the blank, but the other fill in the blank is actually showcased. So that's what I mean by you see different fill in the blanks at different times by using God mode. So what was the answer to this, Hannah? If you can just put in the chat. Okay, yeah. So this was the answer. So the second time, so now let's see how the second time we see this card, what it looks like. So as you can see, the second part of the phrase is now blocked out, which is the close two. This was close one, so this is close two. So that's what God mode allows you to do, and that's removing an electron. Now let's say you wanted to see what it would look like if we made both of them C1. So let's say electron affinity is the amount of energy released when an atom accepts an electron. Okay, so if we do C1, which is like this, let's say electron affinity is the amount of blank when an atom blank. Okay. Don't worry about this. Okay, so since both of them were close one, because I used Command S using God mode, now I have two fill in the blanks at the same time. So this way you can really customize the way you get tested on based on your notes. And if you press show answer, you have to pretty much answer both of these correctly to be able to progress, like to press good for the card. So press space and there. So that's both close one, close one. Any questions so far? I know this part was a bit complicated, but if anyone wants, just put in the chat. I'm just gonna wait a couple seconds. Yes, so God mode changes the keyboard shortcut for close cards. So if you want to make subsequent fill in the blanks, so C1, C2, you press Command E. If you want to make them the same, so C1, C1, you press Command S. And it just makes making close cards so much faster that's why I really recommend it. Okay, so moving on, if there aren't any other questions. Okay. So going to be moving on. So now I'm just going to do a basic overview on the main page of Anki, which is the landing page. So when you open up Anki, you're going to be greeted by the decks you created along with how many cards it has. So if you downloaded Review Heat Map, it's always going to be there. And you're going to have things like import file, create deck. So to create a new binary, you just press create deck and you can rename it. Over here, we have the gear. This is like the settings you have for a certain deck. So let's say I want to rename this into Anki session 123. So I can change it like that. Let's say I wanted to customize a bit how I get tested on. That's by pressing options. So to start off, options group. So when it says default, this is the settings that Anki always uses. It's the settings that's been researched. So I don't really recommend changing it much. And so I want to change this. But just to explain a bit, so steps 110, this is pretty much the small buttons that you saw at the bottom of the screen, which was again and good. So if you pressed again, it would ask you the same question in less than a minute. If you got it good, it would ask you it in less than 10 minutes. Another thing that I would personally change is right here, it says new cards per day. Anki automatically would just ask you 20 cards you made per day. I would increase that to 100. And the next thing that I would change is I will go to the reviews tab right here. And here it says maximum reviews per day. So when you study a card and you get it good over and over again for that day, it's going to schedule that card for tomorrow or a week from now on. It's important to make sure that the amount of reviews you do per day is the maximum amount, which is 9,999, to allow the spaced repetition to really kick in. So if it was just at 200, that means that let's say you had around 800 cards to review for that day, but since your settings were 200, you wouldn't be able to review those other cards. So that's why I would change it to 9,999. Any questions regarding this? It's a bit confusing again, I understand, but if you have any questions, just put it in the chat box. So you don't touch the extra box on the bottom right. Could you please clarify a bit on the extra box? Can you please clarify that a bit?
Yeah, I mean like the one on the one that you showed before for the close and the other ones.
You mean the making close cards? Okay, so sorry. So you mean this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is pretty much like, so for close cards, you're not going to be tested on anything you put on back extra because it's the extra section. So this is for pasting pictures that you want to associate with your text, or let's say you want to post some notes. So for instance, let's say the question you had was cell membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer, right? But let's say you got the question right and you want to understand it a bit better. You can add stuff like you can like maybe post the what a phospholipid bilayer consists of, like more specifically. But you won't get tested on anything in this phrase. It's more like an extra section for you to like increase your understanding of the cards. Is that good? Is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
But I would add pictures here mostly, or like paste your PowerPoint slides. Okay, so Nikki Aquarian. Okay, I was wondering if you wanted to change next time. Yeah, so that's what I said. So if you go here and you press options, these steps are what you can change. So for instance, if I were to change this into 1,660, so and let's say 2,000. If I get the card wrong and I press again, it would ask me the same card in less than 1,660 minutes. It's not seconds, it's minutes. So 2,000 minutes. So you kind of want to figure out, like, let's say you want to get tested on those cards in 4 days. All you do is you figure out how many minutes are in 4 days and you just put it in there. So the first box is for again, the second one is for good, and the third one will be for easy. Does that clarify things a bit? Yeah, no worries. Okay. So I'm just gonna put restore default. Okay, so moving on. Oh, I forgot to talk about the browser. Okay, so the other thing that Anki is, other than a flashcard system, it's a good database for information. So let's say I wanted to know if I have any information on phospholipid bilayer. I just write phospho up here. It's like a search button, and then you find out, and it highlights it for you, along with all the pictures and everything you have. So the browser, the way it's organized is on this left column. You have whole collection. This is the entire your entire database. So all the cards you have in your Anki, regardless of what decks it is. Then current deck is the deck you're currently studying. And then let's say I had other decks. So let's say I had a biochemistry deck. Let's create one, for instance. Let's say, oh, sorry. Let's say I put biology. I created a new deck, right? So now I have a new deck here. So it's going to showcase your entire cards, as well as more specifically, like what cards you have in specific decks. Any questions? Okay. Moving on. CARRM mode. Okay, so I personally used this a lot last year. Let's say you just had a test, and in 2 days you have another test for a really test-heavy course, a very content-heavy course, and you just didn't have time to study for it. So you can actually do a CARRM mode by going to custom study. This, what allows you to do is that you get to study all of your cards and your decks without messing up the scheduler that you already have. So let's say you were scheduled to study a specific card in 8 days, but you wanted to just get an extra round of review without messing that schedule up. What you do in this case is you can go on the deck you want to study. You want to press custom study right here at the very bottom after going into your deck. Then what you want to do is press study. I wouldn't really worry about these ones. They're not really that effective for a university student. I would just press study by card, state, or tag. Then you want to change this number to the number of cards you want to study, or the number of cards in your total deck. So let's say I had 10 cards in that deck. You want to press all cards in random order. Don't reschedule. If you press anything else, it's going to affect the scheduling a bit, but make sure you press this. So once I press that, you want to press OK. And now we have created something called a custom study session. So if I study all the cards in this deck, it's not going to affect the scheduler at all. It's just a random review. You're pretty much turning it into a Quizlet, and it's not going to really use that same like asking you again ADAs and stuff like that. So it's just a CARRM mode that I really recommend if you have an upcoming test. So yeah. Any questions also? If you can just post in the chat or just yell it out loud. Okay. Moving on. So I know a lot of our audience, they want to pursue medicine or dentistry, and studying for MCAT, there is actually 2 really popular decks that cover a lot of the content that you need for MCAT, just like the basic knowledge that you require to answer questions. And they're really effective. One of my peers actually used it to do really well on the MCAT. So if you're interested, I can also show a demo of how you can download decks online and use it in Anki. Would anyone be interested in that? If you want, you can just put it in the chat. Okay, great. So I'm going to be talking about Miledown because I personally thought it was good because it had a lot of pictures. So all you do is you search one of those decks, so Miledown or Premet 95. It's in a Reddit form. It's in a Reddit website. You go on Reddit and you just press this. So because it was a rather big file, I took the liberty of just downloading it beforehand. And you want to download it to your desktop just to make it a bit easier to find, and you just want to double click on it. And then Anki will do the rest for you. So it's going to say processing. It generally takes about 5 minutes, but since this deck has only about like 3,000 cards, yeah, it took about 10 seconds. So this way you get access to all of the cards that this person made, and they're really good. But before you get to use them, I would recommend, again, going on options and turning the maximum new cards per day to 9,999 just to see how many cards it has. So as you can see, there is a main deck and there's sub decks, right? Behavior, biochemistry. So let's say you wanted to study a specific subject for MCAT. All you do is you press behavioral and then you press study now. So as you can see, behavior only has 828 cards. Whereas if I were to study the entire deck, it's like almost 3,000 cards. And the way you make it into subcategories is simply by, like, let's say I have Anki session, I drag it into the biology and I've created a subdeck. Is that clarify things? And if you just want to study them, you just press that, you press study now. And yeah, so you don't have to really change anything. This person already made the cards, they're good, and they have pictures too, and a Khan Academy link for a video explanation. Is that good? And anyone have any questions? Okay, so that's adding decks from an online source. You can also, if you, for an example, one of your peers wanted to study Anki for one of the courses that you're together, you can actually share decks by pressing, going to the deck you want to share, right on the gear, and press export, and then just put it on desktop, for example. And then once you press save, you can just send them via email or like a USB drive or something, or iMessage, and then they have access to all your cards. Any questions so far? How do you unsubdeck something? Oh, okay. All you do is you just take it out and go above it. So once this line, the gray line pops up, that turns it into a subdeck. Once you go above it, that turns it into a deck. Is that good? Okay, yeah, no worries. So if you also want to do DAT, which is what I did, these are two other resources that are really good, DAT Bootcamp deck and DAT Crusher deck. They're really helpful, much easier to study than just reading your notes. So now, what are the best ways to study? I picked this up by looking at a lot of YouTube videos. So the classic is just listening to some lo-fi music with the Pomodoro technique. So you study for like 30 minutes, followed by an 8-minute break. Once you get really used to Anki, you can pump out around 150 cards per 30 minutes, which is quite a lot. That's like around 40 slides for a regular PowerPoint of a course. Or in summers, what I used to do, you can download Anki on your phone. It's paid, just FYI. On the phone and on the iPad, they're paid, but on laptop and desktop, the app is free. But I think it's a good idea just to pay for it because you're supporting the creators. And then once you have it on your phone, you can just walk outside and do Anki. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it works really well and you get to be active. Just to prove my point, you can customize Anki a bit more. Maybe you can also map out your gaming controller. So for example, the A button would be like good, the X would be again, and then you can like bike as you study. You can also, for example, map out a Switch controller and just do Anki on the projector. You can do the classic, which is just have Anki on here and your notes here. Or what I do is this. So this is my setup. This is my main Anki page with all the notes I have. Then you can, for example, have paper on your desk. If you're, for example, studying for organic chemistry, then you can solve problems like that. So that's it for the basics. If anyone wants to stay back and ask more questions, I'm happy to help. So just post it in the chat. I just wanted to give a second for my team to just maybe if they want to talk about anything.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to something you were doing before. So I'm actually gonna share my screen too, Cam, here real quick. Sorry.
Yes.
Kick you out of here.
Fine, yeah.
Give me a second. So can everyone see my screen right now?
No.
Right over here? No, wait, I messed up. Oh, there we go. Okay. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, so like we said, you can download Anki from this website here, apps.ankiweb.net. I put it in the chat. What's also a good idea is if you go to ankiweb.net, you can actually sign up and create a login that'll actually sync all of your cards together. So whether you're using your laptop or your iPad or your phone or whatever it is, all of your stuff will stay together. You'll be able to study the same things and it'll keep syncing again and again. And another thing is with any add-on, if you're not sure how it works, there are descriptions. So for example, for God mode, it does explain that, you can use Control E or S, and it also actually has a link to how to map your keyboard too. Someone had asked me in an email before, how do you reset your deck? There's the fast way that I'm going to show you because, why would I show you the slow way? All you would do is it's an add-on called Reset Card Scheduling is what I use. Again, you go down here, you find the code, like Camille showed you, you put it into the add-on box, which I can show you one more time in case you're curious. So tools, add-ons, get add-ons, and you paste it there. Once you paste any add-on, by the way, you have to restart the app. But anyways, once you do that, you can see I have 3 due, 2 new. But if I go here, it adds an extra option called Reset Deck. And when you do that, everything becomes new again. So someone had asked that before, so I thought I'd share it here. And that was about it really for what I wanted to talk about. So we can go to questions now if anyone has any.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention so once you download Anki, it's not going to be look like mine where it's like gray background. I actually had to add a code. If anyone's interested, I can just share how you can do it. It's a bit complicated, but pretty much the way my Anki looks, it's based on research where it uses colors that actually reduce eye strain. So if you're interested, I can also show you guys that. And I can also show you a more traditional way of resetting your cards, just like not the easy way that Ali showed. If anyone's interested, just put it in the chat box and I'll get to it right now. Can you post this number and have comment? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Ali, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Okay.
While I'm here, though, I just wanted to say, for some reason with the new Anki update, close deletion, I'm not sure if the add-on works. I'm not sure if it's been updated yet, but I think close deletions might have been just completely added to Anki as is.
Yeah,
but
so
there
close
are other
deletion-
options like to fill in the blanks and stuff.
Yeah, so closed deletions come with the current Anki. You don't have to add any add-ons, but image occlusion you have to add. So I see that some people are interested in seeing how I added this color. So the first thing you can do is you can turn Anki into dark mode, which is by going on preferences. And then you can put night mode. But if you do night mode, it's going to be a black background. It won't be gray like mine. And that can actually cause eye strain if you have high contrast colors. So a medical student called Shamim actually went ahead and created an Anki guide. It's a bit more complicated than you need it. But so if you just press write down medshamim.com and go to her resources right here, and then go to Anki. As you can see, she rated it 8+. Anyways, if you go here, it says how to design beautiful Anki cards. I'm just gonna first post it in the chat if you are interested to check it out.
I already put it in there, Camille. Don't worry about it.
So if you press her how to design beautiful Anki cards and you go all the way down, you're gonna be greeted with these codes, which is a bit complicated, but I can just show you how to do it easily. So what you want to do, when you see it says style for front and back, you want to copy paste all of this code except the front, like right here. You want to copy paste all of them. Once you copy paste it, you want to go on browse. You want to go whole collection, and you want to press, for example, let's say one card, and you want to press cards right here. So once you go on browse, press cards, and then this will pop up, as you can see. If you press styling right here, you can paste the code into here and it's going to change the whole Anki look into mine. So all I did was command, so highlight all of it, delete and paste. And, oh, oops, I forgot to copy. Copy and then paste. So yeah, that's pretty much the way it works. Does that answer your questions? I think the coloring scheme is a lot better, to be honest, than the ones Anki has. So, okay, what else? You can also check out. So any other questions? Do you guys want me to do the traditional way of rescheduling your cards? You have to, no. So if you just highlight all, like, for example, if you go into basics right here, so this is the basic card types. And if you just highlight all of them and press cards, it'll do for all of the cards that are basic. And then let's say you want to do it for all the closed cards. If you just press Command All, or then you just highlight all of them, and then you press cards, you can do it for all the cards. You don't have to do it for each card. That would be a huge waste of time. So yeah. Yeah. Do you guys want me to do the traditional way of rescheduling cards? Anyone? Just post in the chat. Yes. Okay. So if you go in the browser, you see here it says due. So this is when your the cards that you review are due. So since I didn't study these cards enough, they're still due the same day because I didn't press good enough. So if you want to reschedule this into a new card, all you do is press right click, reschedule, and then place at end of new card queue. So if I press OK, turns into a new card. Do you see how that changed? So this is a new card now. It's not green anymore. It's not a review card. It's a new card. And oh, something else to mention, it's not really needed if you do it from the start, but if you want to, let's say you have a card and you want to change it to a different deck, you can just highlight them and press change deck, or you can do the shortcut, which is Command D, and then you can just move it to a different deck. So for instance, if I want to move, let's say this card into biology, I just press move card, and now it changes it to biology. Does that make sense? Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if there's no other questions, oh, sorry. You also want to, oh, so I did. So for pre-dental, as I said, if you go on DAT Bootcamp, the Anki decks are actually free. So this is for DAT specifically. You have to log in, but it's not paid. But once you do log in, they actually have a free Anki deck for biology section, which is the really thick section of the class. I mean the test. So if you press biology flashcards, you're going to have access to the Anki cards here. They're free. They also have the Quizlet format, but everyone uses the Anki form now. And that's actually what I personally use to study for DAT, and it's the most effective way of studying, in my opinion. Hey, so hey, I came down. Anki on my Anki browser. You mean this right here? This browser? Because the heat map won't be on your browser. It'll just be in your main page. Oh, did you add it to your tool section? Did you add it to your add-ons? Right here? Okay, so let's do a rerun of how to add the heat map. So you want to go up here. You want to go to tools, scroll down to add-ons, and then this will pop up. So these are all my add-ons. I don't really recommend getting all of them because they might be overkill, but then press get add-ons, and then you're going to be asked for a code. Then to plug in the code, all you do is you go here, you press review heat map Anki, and then the first link, it has to be Anki Web because that's like the trusted site. And then you scroll down all the way until you find like a blue box with the code, and all you do is you copy paste it into here, and then you get review heat map, and it does it automatically. All you have to do after you get the add-on is restart Anki, and then it'll work. So for me, review heat map is right here. Once you get it, it should have it here, and then you'll get this. Does that answer your question? Okay. So
Just before we go to the next question from Zara, I just wanted to say review heat map right now is still being updated for the new Anki update, but they do have a beta version for the most recent Anki update. The link's at the very top of the page. There is another heat map just called heat map on Anki Web you can try. I don't know if Cameron, you've tried it before and what differences it has.
So if that's
just a heads up.
That's the case, I would just wait. It's obviously not necessary, it's just an add-on, but then the other add-ons that I talked about here are actually updated for the current version of Anki. So if it's not available, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but image occlusion and God mode are two that are available, and I would definitely get those because those are really important for efficiency. Any other questions?
Hi, I just had a question, if everyone hears me.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned in options, you can go and change how often Anki will show you a card. So for example, like if you don't remember it, it'll show you in 1 minute. If you say good, it's 10 minutes. And then obviously, if you're great at it, it's 4 days. This is just to everyone on the CARRM team. What do you have your steps? I guess it's called steps.
Yeah.
What do you place your steps as, and do you change it from the default, and or do you just keep it as the default personally when you're doing Anki?
So it's a really complicated question because it's really personal, right? So the default is the one that's studied the most, and the 90 to 95% retention that I talked about is based on the default. However, obviously some people are better at memorizing, right? And then you can definitely increase the steps a bit. So what I did is I'm just going to switch my profile to my main thing, and I'm just going to show you my steps. So my steps, I believe, are this. So 15, this is about a day, and this is about, I think, 6 days. So for me, this worked because I still retained a 95% retention rate, even though I increased the steps by a lot, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But this is just something you have to experiment with. And that's a good question. And how you can experiment that is by going onto the stats. And once you go into the stats, you can actually see how you're doing in terms of Anki. I'm just going to go 2020. Wait, why is it not working? Sorry. Oh, here. So these are all the reviews I've done, all my years using Anki. So this is my review session. So if you come down, sorry, it's just loading because I wasn't using, okay. So once you come here, you can kind of like see how many times you've like pressed like good, how many times you've pressed bad and stuff like that in the stats page, right?
Yep.
And you want to, if you're using like the default and your retention rate's at 100 and you feel like it's too slow, you can increase it a bit and just monitor your retention rate. If it falls below 90%, I would personally maybe decrease it again. But if you still increase the steps and it's above 90%, I would stick with higher steps because again, most tests are multiple choice, right? Once you see the answer, you'll get it right away. So Anki, it's a lot harder to pull out an answer from your head, right?
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I would definitely experiment with this a bit, but yeah, those are my steps. If you're interested, it's these are also based on some science, but it doesn't apply to everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I think it also depends on, just to add to it, the size of the deck, how much time you have to study, and how well you know the information to begin with. When we were both studying for the DAT this summer, I think we extended it, right, Camia? We weren't doing like every 1 minute, every 10 minutes. We had it as a bit longer. So just because some of the stuff like biology we might have already known. We had, I mean, we started like what, April? Yeah. So we had from April to November to study. And also the deck that we were using was pretty big. So we had the time to increase our steps.
Like, yeah, that was a good point. So I had around 6 months to study. And as you can see, like the cards just started climbing, like they started becoming like 1,000 cards, right? And that's when you can increase the steps because like it's not really possible to study 2,000 cards a day. Like it's really draining. So that's when I would increase the steps as well if you have a lot of time. But for university, because it's just so fast paced, the default settings is good in my opinion. I had a question about making, okay. So how much of the content are you really familiar with? Okay, so to answer your question, honestly, so it's first hard to kind of believe how effective Anki is. So yeah, I would first make some really basic notes. Let's say you have a PowerPoint slide. I wouldn't really spend time just rewriting all the notes that the PowerPoint already has. I would just add stuff that are already, I would just add stuff to the PowerPoint that the professor mentioned that weren't in the notes. And then I would make Anki cards out of those. So for instance, I took nutrition last year and it had a lot of concepts that I've never heard of. I just literally just Ankied it. I just looked at the textbook. I didn't really make any notes for myself, and it still worked wonderfully. So you don't really have to go overkill with making notes. Just add some things that the professor mentions that aren't in the notes, in the PowerPoints, and then just make Anki cards out of the PowerPoint slides and the additional notes you made. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So also, if you want to make lecture notes, I would definitely copy paste your PowerPoint slides into the extra section for pictures, just so you also get like a mental image of what the questions and answers are. And so during test time, you actually get a image recall as well. So yeah. Any other questions? I'm just gonna wait a bit more. Okay, so I think that's about it. If interested, we'll probably be recorded this event as well. If you have any questions, you can always message me. Did you post? Yes, you post a PowerPoint in the extra section. So if you want, I can show you an example of how I would do it. So I would, for example, let's say this is my lecture. I would take, for example, let's say this is like, let's say a topic of the day. You would screenshot this portion. You would go here and you would just paste it there. So you would have the content that you want to text yourself here. And then the relevant information from the PowerPoint slides or your notes here. So when you just press answer, you both see the correct answer and the where that question or content stemmed from. Is that good? Okay, yeah. So
just I thought I'd bring up one thing before we head out if there are no more questions. One of our members has actually been working on and has basically done a website where you're able to upload and download shared Anki decks. I'm just going to show you that right now.
okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
That's okay. I can take over here. So yeah, I'll link the website in the chat in a bit. But it looks like this. It's called Collaborative Cards, and again, you can make an account, upload, download, all that kind of stuff. And it's everything from just university classes, MCAT, DAT, LSAT, and all that kind of stuff. In the university section, if you're not from York, there's other universities there. And it's pretty straightforward just to kind of help find all the decks that are there, or if you want to share your deck that helped you out a lot, to kind of bring them into one place instead of like scouring the internet and Reddit and all that stuff to find them. So he's been working on that. It's going great so far. It looks great. So definitely check it out. I'll actually, while I'm here, I'll just copy and paste
it's free
right there.
So like there is no hidden fee.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's a free account and all that. You can donate for the page and all that stuff, but you don't have to pay for it. And I linked the website in the chat box just now. So feel free to check it out. And again, if you have cards that helped you out in the class, go ahead and upload them if you'd like. And yeah. Stop sharing my screen now.
So if there aren't any other questions, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming to this event. If you have any questions about Anki, you can get in touch with our club, and I'm happy to help. So thank you, everyone.